Hello, and welcome to Southeastern Perspectives, an investigation into issues, events, and destinations important to the Southeastern community. I'm Alexis Schubert.
And I'm Christian Stahlberg.
In this edition of Southeastern Perspectives, we discuss some of the issues surrounding federal financial aid and how they may affect students here at Southeastern.
We also spent some time with the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to find out a bit more about law and order out in the great outdoors. And to add one more stimulating refreshment to the list of unique local beverages, the homegrown offerings of Amite's own Floyd Lee Tea Company.
Those stories plus much more coming up on Southeastern Perspectives. Ever since the end of World War II, there has been an effort to make the process of obtaining a college education one of the lasting benefits of military service. Here at Southeastern, an entire staff of professionals is devoted to meeting the unique needs of a very special type of student. Embry Perry has more.
Our country, our freedom, and our rights are defended and protected by the people who wish to serve our country. I started to wonder how our university is helping veteran students.
I mean, where to even start? As students, for example, it's just probably one of the hardest jobs you could possibly think of. In the military, it's like I said earlier, everything's scheduled. Your meals are paid, your housing is paid. You have scheduled, like you don't have to do anything because they tell you what to do. So imagine just living and people tell you what to do. It's pretty much simple because you don't have to worry about what's going to happen next. While here, out in the civilian world, you have family, you have, school, but student itself, like you got classes you got to worry about, grades you got to worry about, part-time jobs you got to worry about, relationships, whether it is your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your kids. That's a lot more harder because while you're in the military, you don't have to worry about any of that because you're away from those people and you're not spending any time with them unless you're like going on a break.
Southeastern Louisiana University received the silver designation for the 2024-2025 Governor's Military and Veteran Friendly Campus, showing how hard our Veteran Success Office works to make Southeastern a home for veteran students.
So my primary job here is to get veterans benefits and help them basically go to the right place. So they say navigator, so I'm supposed to help veterans navigate to the right spot. However, because of the amount of veterans that we have in this area, we have over 7,000 military families in this area. There's just not enough support for veterans. So oftentimes I end up helping them do benefit applications and so forth, which are supposed to be done in other areas, but they're actually not people there. On campus, I work with, I'm an MBA student, so I am a student as well. And this role is actually volunteer. I'm a volunteer, so I'm in here 30 hours a week is what I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm in here 40 hours a week between that and phone calls. But anyway, so I actually work with auxiliary services, and I've worked with the president's office and a physical plant on basically trying to do projects around campus to really show that we're a military-friendly school, and to also pay homage to our veterans, both who are currently serving, current service members and prior service members and their dependents. So we're doing some projects right now at the flagpole, redoing that area. They're putting in a memorial bench. We started the first housing initiative to where we're one of only 4 in the nation, 4 schools in the nation that have veteran-specific housing. So anyone who's in the military now or has been in the military or their dependents can actually apply to be in housing, and it's a dedicated house for them. It's only 15 occupants that can be in that house.
As Mr. Anderson said, the military housing is one of only 4 in the nation, specifically for veterans to live with other veterans alike, making sure our soldiers are comfortable as they achieve their dreams beyond.
Well, this housing specifically was for the military. Currently we have some civilians that live out here because they're filling in the spots. But this housing, from what I was told, was brought up for the first time to make official so that people that are currently in service or has served are able to stay in their own close community. Meaning that it will be a lot more easier to interact because we know our schedules are kind of messed up. Like I have to wake up real early in the morning to go to drill, while there's other people out there that needs to like stay up real late or, you know, also wake up early. So it's more like a community thing. It's helped out a lot, especially while I was doing RTC, because there was a lot of people here that were understanding of the fact that, you know, okay, this guy had to wake up early in the morning, he had to do this. But it's also kind of like a safe environment, if I were to say. Because you know you're surrounded by people that are in some way related to you.
Our veterans want nothing more than a community, which is why the Office of Veteran Success makes it their primary goal.
If, as a community, if we come together as one force, then we'll always make a big impact. When you have people who are separated, especially in the veteran community or just service member community, it is, in the dependent community, you're out there alone, and that's normally when we fall weak. And so getting people together, we become one strong force, one strong voice. If more people talked about the things that are wrong with them, we could get more support. If people talked about the things that they needed, we can get more, even at this university, you know, more area, more surface space for veterans here. Because if y'all didn't know this, you know, we have, it's under 600 veterans and dependents that we service here. But if you look right up the road in Baton Rouge, they only have about 1,300. And so when you look at our size compared to some of the sizes of the other institutions around us, Southeastern's killing it when it comes to veterans and veteran dependents using benefits here. You know, people start making a community, and as a community, we're always going to become stronger. When I first came here back in 2007, I came and used military benefits. You would drop off your packet to someone and they would go, okay, that's it. And I was like, that's it? And they go, yep, have a good day. And you'd go to North Campus and drop it off. There was no office. There was no, hey, how are you? There were no student workers. There were just, there was an admin assistant and I think a GA back then. And there was no community. It was so cold and so distant, and you just dropped off paperwork and they processed it.
Southeastern takes pride in how it can help its veterans achieve and succeed in their goals. Thank you to all who have served to make our world a safer place. For Southeastern Perspective, I'm Embry Perry.
One organization tasked with assisting veterans at Southeastern is Veterans Upward Bound, a division of the Regional Upward Bound program headquartered right here on campus. Joining us today to discuss the overall mission of the entire Upward Bound program is Ron Abel, Director of Southeastern's Upward Bound office. Thanks for joining us, Ron. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. So grateful to be here with you.
Wonderful. So I have a few questions.
Sure.
What is Upward Bound and what exactly does Upward Bound do? And can you speak a little bit about Veterans Upward Bound as well?
Sure. Upward Bound and Veterans Upward Bound both have as their mission to prepare students from low income, first generation, meaning neither parent with a college degree, backgrounds. So individuals in our program come from a family that doesn't have a legacy of college. And we work with them to give them tools and confidence and ability to succeed in higher education.
And are there qualifications for Upward Bound?
The main qualification is that you are a first generation, neither parent having a college degree, and that you would fit under low income, which is basically 150% of the U.S. Department of Commerce.
To the best of your knowledge, about how many people would you say utilize Upward Bound?
At Southeastern, well, there are two populations that we work with. We work with the high school population, those who are actively in our program while they're in high school, and that's about 500 students. And then there's the in-college population, which we work with literally thousands who are along, maybe they're freshmen all the way into the 6th or 7th year of college. And we continue to work with them and help them stay in college and overcome any barriers that they may encounter along the way. So at any given time, we're working with about 2,000, 2,500 students.
And while you work at the Upward Bound office on Southeastern, you don't necessarily recruit for Southeastern, correct?
We do not recruit for Southeastern. We analyze each student and determine what path is best for them based on their interest, their skill level, their values, and we'll look at where would they fit best. What is the college major? For example, if they're really good, if education is their goal and they're very desirous, we're going to say stay here at Southeastern because we have the best education program around. But if they are going into something like I don't know, a higher engineering program, or they want to go into geology, might send them to the School of Mines, Colorado School of Mines, you know. So it just depends on what their interest and their abilities are.
And Upward Bound is a TRIO program. Can you explain what that is?
TRIO, all programs that are associated with ours are called TRIO programs, and they were founded in the War on Poverty under Lyndon Johnson in 1965, and he came up with Pell Grant at that time. And they realized when they did Pell Grant that individuals from background without a legacy of college wouldn't really know how to properly utilize the Pell Grant. It might take it for a year or so, get discouraged and drop out of school. They said we need to prevent that and ensure the Pell dollars are well spent. So they organized 3 programs, hence the name TRIO, and those 3 programs were in-school support for high schoolers, and college support for those in college, and then the programs.
Now, the current administration is proposing making significant cuts to TRIO programs. How would that affect Upward Bound if that were to happen?
Well, currently we are funded and guaranteed through the year 2026. So we have, we would go, well, actually 27 through, we have funding to go through that far, but what they're talking about now is the budget beyond that. So the long term of Upward Bound. When students come into Upward Bound, they come generally in the 9th or 10th grade. We've been doing this a long time, over 60 years of Upward Bound experience by the federal government. And what they found is that if a student is in the program at least 2 to 3 years, it has a very efficacious impact on the student. And they found that the dollars spent on Upward Bound come back to the federal government tenfold. So we are a bipartisan supported program. Republicans actually like our program a lot. I don't think that the current administration is getting all the correct information. They're going in really kind of weed whacking everything and seeing what really is the most important to keep. So I think this is more an investigative type thing. And if they learn more, I think that the Republican delegation and the Democratic delegation at Congress will say, hey, whoa, this is one program we can guarantee returns investment to the U.S. government.
And you said y'all are already funded until 2027. Is that the forward funding?
Yes, we're forward funded, meaning the money we're working on this fiscal year for 24-25 was actually allocated in 23-24. So we're 1 year lag of what funded. We're funded from the prior year budget. That's why we have over a year and a half left.
And is there anything being done to try to preserve TRIO programs that you're aware of?
Yes, and we have a grassroots movement that we have a large TRIO alumni society, and we're reaching out to all of the students who have been in the program before and asking them to write to their congresspersons and let them know that what they experienced and what the result was. And we're also asking our current students and their parents if they want to continue the services to make sure that they let Congress know that they're being availed of those services. So we are very much keeping education going, and a program like this will be invaluable for that as we let the community at large know. So anyone in the community can write or email our congresspersons and let them know. I know someone in TRIO, they were in Upward Bound, they did great. I really hope that we can keep these programs. And the more, you know, Congress works like this, the more they hear, the squeaky wheel truly gets the grease. So you want to make sure that they are inundated. We want to make sure they're inundated with good and proper information.
How do you think the cuts would affect the people who use TRIO programs?
Well, daily, it seems like on Facebook, I'm not a big social media person, but because I have so many students that are prior students, I like to keep up with where they're at. And daily I read things from students, and I may comment, and they'll comment back to me and say, Mr. Ron, Upward Bound really saved me. I am a nurse, I am a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an educator because I was able to go through the program. And I think if we lose Upward Bound, we'll lose a significant part of the population that we've been able to help will not get the kind of help in the future. I think it will be a huge step backwards.
Is there anything that you would like to add furthermore about TRIO programs or Upward Bound?
Well, I have a firm belief. I've been doing TRIO programs for over 30 years here at Southeastern. I've been involved on state level in leadership, on a regional level as president of our region association for our professionals, and on national level on the national board. So I've gotten to see how TRIO programs have worked across the country. And I will say the vast majority are highly effective and very necessary to their communities. It's part of the community that's happening underneath everybody's nose, but unless you need the service, you're not really hearing about it. We don't do a lot of advertising because we don't have to. We can recruit students really just by letting the school know and presenting to them, and we get way more applicants than we have spaces. So we don't go too much media because we don't want to disappoint too many kids. But we only serve about 7% of the eligible population with current TRIO funding.
Wow.
So, I think what we could do if we could serve 25%. Another thing to think about is the chance that these students have to experience the college experience while they're in high school. So what our Upward Bound program does is we bring them on campus for 6 weeks in the summer, and they'll work on college credit while they're in high school. They'll become familiar with the university environment. It's no longer a frightening place for them. They've eaten in the cafeteria, lived in the dorms. And to them, once they graduate high school, they don't just throw their mortar board up in the air and say, I'm done. They're like, oh, I'm going on to my next level, and they naturally continue on. So it's no longer a K through 12, but a K through 16 thing for them. So we keep that sight. Everything we do, every part of our program is centered on getting them a good ACT score, a high GPA, being able to access TOPS, and being able to choose the college they want to go to and get put into the correct major so they don't waste time in the wrong major. Those are our #1 goals.
Thank you, Ron, for stopping by and talking to us. I really appreciate that.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
We'll be right back.
History is not always something we can see or touch. What they encountered horrified them. One of the most diabolical crimes in Louisiana history.
There's no way this is real.
Welcome back to Southeastern Perspectives. The process of applying for financial aid can be a complex and even stressful experience for many college students and their parents. It's an annual ritual now rendered even more uncertain due to the evolving nature of various loan and grant programs, as well as anticipated changes to the Federal Department of Education. Recently, Lizzie Fonseca took some time to obtain a snapshot of the financial aid situation on our own campus. From the perspective of both students and the Southeastern professionals tasked with working out the actual cost of a college degree in 2025.
With changes coming to how students pay for college, students want to know how the new overhaul on FAFSA and student loans affect them directly.
I would say nationwide, we compare relatively similarly. So we have our student population consists of about 34% of our students are on a federal Pell Grant, which indicates their financial need. But we have about 85% of our students who are on some type of aid, whether that be Title IV federal aid or institutional scholarships or state scholarships like the TOPS award.
As our government wishes to give student loans to the small business organization, students have thoughts of their own.
Yes, Department of Education and the standards that they hold for different colleges and high schools and any school in the nation, and the different standards and the federal grants and all that stuff. A lot of money is going to be stopping going to schools. It's frankly disgusting to watch educators and students get disrespected by the government.
One of the most recent changes being a new formula to be considered eligible for FAFSA, as you now have to fill out a new form to make sure that your tuition can be paid.
Well, we certainly did receive many inquiries about the form. We had to, the new form, while it was deemed a simplification, it really wasn't as simplified as I think it was intended to be. And it's very different now than it was in 23-24. And so we provided a lot of guidance on information in regards to how to complete the file, how to complete the information about your parent contributor. And so I'm happy to say, though, that we were one of the first institutions in the state to begin packaging federal aid with the new FAFSA.
Students have shown their concern with these changes as they finish their semester, wondering what is needed from them to pay for their classes.
I don't know, it kind of makes me a little bit worried about what's going to happen to my financial aid. Like, am I going to have to, be more dependent upon my parents and put that stress on them? Am I going to be protected by it? Am I going to have to make some sacrifices myself? So really it's putting things into perspective for me. And it's also making me appreciative for what I've had so far.
I'm worried about seeing the amount of financial aid dropping to a point to where I would not be able to attend college that I can now, and losing that access.
I think it's very important, especially those who can't afford it, because while I am somewhat able to afford it, I know there are a lot of students who can't. And I think that having that resource such as financial aid to pursue college when you're serious about it is a very important thing.
Schools need students, and if you're not going to teach the next generation, why try?
For Southeastern Perspective, I'm Lizzie Fonseca.
Along with looming changes to financial aid, many issues weigh heavy on the mind of the average college student. Perhaps none more than the ultimate fate of everyone's favorite social media app, TikTok. Will it endure? Will it be banned? Why would anyone want to ban it in the first place? All worthy questions, and all questions posed to Southeastern's own stable of qualified media professionals. Let's take a look. In the time of social media, should there be a cause for concern when it comes to certain apps that Americans consume? While social media is a vital tool for not only companies to advertise their business, it also gives many Americans a sense of community online. TikTok, arguably one of the most popular social media apps on the market, is in danger of being banned in the United States permanently due to concerns for national security.
I think there could be valid reasons. I think it is a concern to have any sort of possible connection to the Chinese Communist Party that's in charge of the Chinese government. But I think American users of TikTok would like to see more hard evidence before the app gets completely banned.
Originally, the app was due to be banned in the United States on January 19th, but went dark for 12 hours on January 18th, just before midnight, causing an upset with the American people. As of February 2025, there is an estimated 136 million Americans on the app. Due to the large number of Americans on the app upset about the ban of TikTok, The app was granted an extension by President Trump until April 5th.
Well, I didn't know the government had the ability to do that. See, here's the thing. Most of us communicate over this thing we call social media, and it is now a wide net encompassing thing. I don't know if text is quite a social media, but the idea of face-to-face talking is out.
A social media app being banned in the United States is unprecedented, leaving Americans questioning if the government can or should be able to ban apps such as TikTok.
Just because it's owned by a Chinese parent company, I don't feel that that means that they're trying to, make us communists or inflict something negative upon us. I think that a lot of people like to use the data from TikTok in terms of demographic information, psychographic information, even geographic, to help brands be able to target people better and feed you ads that, hey, I might buy this product because it relates to me. So I think it's more of a big marketing tool and advertising than like a quote-unquote danger.
With the extension deadline fastly approaching, people wonder if there will be another extension granted by the president until the ByteDance company, the current owners of TikTok, sells. President Trump says that a deal is likely to happen with buyers lining up to purchase the popular app.
The TikTok deal was not made on the timeline you gave. Will you extend that?
Probably. Yeah.
You will.
I think, look, we have a lot of interest in TikTok. And China is going to play a role. And so hopefully China will approve of the deal. But they're going to play a role. But we have a lot of interest in TikTok.
How long will you extend it and how close are you to it?
Well, we'll see. But if I need, right now we have at least another month, so we don't need an extension. But if I needed an extension, I'd probably get it extended.
I think they're under harsher scrutiny because of the ByteDance ownership, because it is a Chinese-owned company versus a company owned by an American, like Meta, like X, where I suppose they're maybe trusted more, or maybe government is less inclined to interfere in American-owned business. TikTok is just a reflection of the American public at large and our American political scene at large. We're very polarized right now, our political parties, our leadership is very polarized, and the American people have become very polarized. So I don't think that it was TikTok doing the polarizing. I think it was just TikTok being a reflection of our already very politically fraught and politically polarized situation. I think TikTok is very much like other platforms, like X, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, all of those, Blue Sky. It can be a very good thing for politics to let people gain political information, to build political community, even to mobilize and get involved more in politics. But same thing on the opposite side, it can become a big source of misinformation. It has been a big source of misinformation, and it has been a source for people who have distrust for sort of traditional media to go and spread information that's not vetted, not researched, not data-driven, and maybe even bound in conspiracy. So TikTok is like any other app. It's both good and bad depending on how people are using it and their intentions.
As of May 4th, 2025, the app was granted another 75-day extension after the April 5th deadline. Trump stated last night that he will likely extend the second deadline if necessary. It's uncertain whether the app will be banned or not. Many Americans anxiously await the fate of TikTok in the United States. For Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Alexis Schubert.
With its abundance of rivers, marshes, and rolling woodlands, not to mention its status as an actual coastline of sorts, the North Shore area is the very definition of a sportsman's paradise. But with such abundance comes great responsibility. Charged with enforcing responsible behavior amongst those seeking outdoor recreation are the dedicated men and women of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Javier Amador investigates this challenging and rewarding law enforcement specialty.
Deep in the woods and swamps of our parish are a small team of highly trained individuals that are tasked with protecting wildlife
preserving habitats, and making sure you don't get hurt in the heat of the hunt.
So Louisiana, when it comes to just the Enforcement Division of Wildlife and Fisheries, we are a state agency. I'm a state game warden. I'm a state wildlife enforcement agent. Louisiana is broken into 8 different field offices, whether it's Monroe, Shreveport, Alexandria, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Houma, Lafayette, or Lake Charles. If you would be interested in becoming a game warden, you would be assigned to one of those field offices. Here, I am assigned to the Baton Rouge field office, which is in Baton Rouge. But that field office, like all other field offices throughout the state, it's usually broken down into districts. So our field office in Baton Rouge is commanded by a captain. We have 3 districts here in this Baton Rouge field office. Each district would be supervised by a lieutenant. My district that I'm assigned to here is what's called 7C. So I am assigned to St. Tammany Parish. I live in St. Tammany Parish, but my day-to-day routine, my day-to-day parish assignment is St. Tammany Parish, Washington Parish, and Tangipahoa Parish.
Wildlife enforcement agents, also known as game wardens, are the unsung heroes of protecting ecosystems from being overhunted. Hunters encounter game wardens all the time.
So the passion to want to be a game warden started probably back when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I come from a family that loves to hunt and fish. Most of my co-workers come from that hunting or fishing background. You do not need to have a passion in hunting and fishing to become a game warden. I would recommend that you have some kind of passion in law enforcement in general, because that is what we do as a foundation. We are law enforcement officers. However, I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, and my dad took me squirrel hunting for the first time on our hunting lease that we have. And we do our little hunt, and on the way back to the truck, there was a game warden truck waiting behind my father's truck. And the game warden at the time, he talked to my father, checked his hunting licenses, interacted with me a little bit, you know, on my little 6-year-old level. And whenever everything was done, my dad was legal, didn't have any tickets issued to him. The game warden left. And here I am, 6-year-old Patrick, asking my dad, "Dad, who was that man?" And my dad's trying to explain to me the best way he could who a game warden is and what a game warden does. And I looked at my dad right in his eyes that day and I said, "Dad, I want to be a game warden when I grow up." Fast forward through college and school and everything, and I applied to become a game warden.
A game warden in the wild is an amazing sight to see, as they are patrolling night and day to make sure people and animals are safe to protect the future. But how does one become a game warden?
So we have 3 main prerequisites as needed items in order to apply to our academy, one of which is either an associate's degree or at least 60 credit hours at an accredited college or university. If you do the 60 credit hours, you can, it doesn't matter what your major was in, it doesn't matter what you were focusing on. A lot of people ask us that question: do I need a degree in law enforcement or criminal justice? Do I need some kind of degree in biology? And the answer is no. I have a business degree. I went 4 years, I have a bachelor's degree, but mine's in business. So whatever your focus is on your major does not matter, an associate's degree or at least 60 credit hours. The other option is 3 years continuous active duty military service. Doesn't matter what branch of the armed forces you join, but at least 3 years continuous active duty military service. And then your third option is at least 2 years of post-certified law enforcement from an accredited agency, whether that's your local sheriff's office, a local police department, or another state agency. You got to be post-certified and you got to have the ability to make an arrest.
Like the police, a game warden can write tickets and arrest anyone with probable cause of illegal activity. Land or stream, they have to proceed with caution for the sake of everyone's safety.
This is a job in law enforcement. To say that any of us are scared would be not the right phrase. If you're scared to do a job in law enforcement, you probably should look for another career. But specifically in our job as wildlife enforcement agents, we get told this by the public, we get told this by other law enforcement agencies, other law enforcement officers. You're literally going in the woods after somebody with a loaded firearm. During hunting season, What is that man or woman doing in the woods? They're hunting. Well, what are they using to hunt with? They're using a high-powered rifle. Any of our vests, any of our bulletproof vests that we have, that rifle round can easily penetrate it and go right through. So we have that notion in the back of our heads that we are literally going in the woods. Most oftentimes, it's usually after hours, it's usually at nighttime, going after what we call night hunters, knowing that that person has a gun in their hand. We are highly trained, looking back at the Enforcement Academy, and also yearly trainings that we have, recertification trainings. We are one of the most highly trained law enforcement agencies in this state. So we know our tactics on how to approach that person in the woods with that high-powered rifle. Once we make contact with them, how to talk to them, how to get that gun secured from them and into our possession, unload it, and then go about our speech. I'd say one of the other quote-unquote scariest parts about this job is for an evening hunt. Whenever we're waiting at somebody's truck for them to walk out the woods from their hunt, making that initial contact with them. Again, that person has a high-powered rifle in their hand. Whether that gun's loaded or unloaded, we don't know that at that particular point in time. So making contact with that person, something as simple as, hey, good evening, sir, game warden. They might get startled, they might get jumpy. Who knows if they might turn that gun towards us, just as an act of self-defense for the unknown of you're in the woods by yourself, and next you know you hear this man's voice. You know, you might want to protect yourself real quick. That's a little scary part about the job too.
Game wardens are never in one place. Corporal Dempsey's office is in his truck and he enjoys what he does for a living.
I'd say my favorite part of the job is I chose this career because I do have a passion for hunting and fishing. Always wanted to do this since I was, like I said, about 6 or 7 years old. What I love the most about this job is the fact that the outdoors, literally everything that we have today for this interview, this is my office. I'm not one of the type of people that like to be indoors a lot or have 4 walls around me in an office looking at a computer screen all day. The outdoors is my office. I very rarely see the same area twice, say in a week or in a month. When I'm out on the waterways, a lot of people don't realize this, but if I launch, say right here in Manchac in Tangipahoa Parish, I can launch a boat in Manchac and be in the Gulf of Mexico through certain waterways and channels and stuff. So to have the world, to have the outdoors as my office, enjoying the weather, enjoying, you know, what nature provides for us, that's the most rewarding and best part about this job for sure.
For Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Javier Amador.
This segment of Southeastern Perspectives is made possible through the kind support of Tangipahoa Parish Tourism, your guide to the crossroads of Louisiana.
Tangipahoa Parish is home to the strawberry capital of the world and the premier destination for family fun and adventure. Whether you're looking to visit one of our historic museums, grab a bite to eat at our amazing restaurants, or attend an exciting local event, there's always something to do in Tangipahoa Parish. Tangipahoa Tourism is proud to support the Southeastern Channel in its mission to educate and inspire young media professionals right here in Tangipahoa Parish, the crossroads of Louisiana.
Perhaps the best pairing for some of our great local cuisine is a refreshing local beverage. While our humid climate is a bit tough on coffee beans and grapes, local breweries and even distilleries offer an impressive array of unique beers and spirits, perfect for any festive gathering. However, if your vibe is a bit more Sunday morning than Saturday night, there's another locally sourced beverage for you to try, the main ingredient of which is grown right here in Tangipahoa Parish. My co-host, Christian Stahlberg, has more.
Hidden among the pines of Tangipahoa Parish is a place that brings a new taste to Amite, Louisiana. Floyd Lee Tea Company is a local spot to relax, enjoy some tea, and take in its whimsical southern charm.
Oh, what don't I do? I am the tea production manager of Floyd Lee Tea Company. That means I do everything from seed, harvesting the seeds, sprouting them, potting up the plants in the nursery, putting them in the ground, managing the fields, making the tea, and then also doing a lot of educational events as well.
While Fleur Lee Tea Company hosts many events such as bridal showers, baby showers, and birthday parties, they also offer educational tours and host a class that teaches guests how to brew their own tea.
Yes, we do from very accessible, cheap, and quick ones like our tea tour. And our tea tour lasts about an hour, 30 minutes. It's $15 plus tax, and you get to come see the beautiful tea fields and then see our production facility and have a cup of our tea. And then I also do an art of brewing tea class, which is 2 hours just on brewing tea, if you can believe it.
Although a hot cup of tea can be a great way to blow off some steam, the tea season brings a lot of work and requires meticulous preparation.
So this is a common misconception. Actually, we can make black, white, green oolong all from the same plant, and it all depends on how you process it. So a green tea involves a cooking step. Black tea is defined by oxidation. So there's a lot that goes into the processing of a black tea. It's actually about 8 hours the next day. There's a full day of processing after plucking. White tea is the easiest. You basically just pluck it, let it sit, and then dry it. So we harvest only the newest growth. So that means the first bud and 2 leaves. That's what we want to harvest. And it's the newest growth that's going to make the best tea. So as soon as I see at least 1 bud and 3 leaves, because you want to leave enough room for the plant to grow a little bit more every time. Once I see a bud and 3 leaves over about 85% of the plants, I'll go and harvest. And that happens about every 11 to 14 days. We're going to be harvesting from the same plants every 11 days.
Fleur Lee Tea Company is committed to providing only the best quality tea to their customers. They only pick the new growth of the plant for processing and use the whole leaf to get its flavor.
Yeah, so you use the newest growth because that's the highest quality. That's where most of the aromatic compounds that are going to make the flavor of the tea are. But on top of that, the older and older the leaves you go down, the more bitter the tea is going to be. So most of these companies are not making a whole leaf tea when they're cutting the first 12 leaves off. They're making what's called a crush, tear, curl tea. It's actually completely divorced from the thousands of year history of processing tea, and it was invented in the 30s for the tea bag. They cut it, they tear it, they curl it. It's very fine. It's not a whole leaf. And that's why when you have a tea bag tea, you get 1 steeping from it. Whereas when you have a whole leaf tea, you could re-steep the same leaves 3, 4, or 5 times.
With high demand in Louisiana for a full leaf tea, why haven't there been other companies trying to fill this demand? What hurdles could they possibly face?
That's going to be incredibly important. I know in Louisiana it's so hot in high summer that the season will actually slow down for about 2 weeks. Now, we didn't have that last year, but the year before that, we definitely had that, where it was so hot that the tea stopped growing. So all of these weather patterns are going to affect the tea. I know I like the flavor of our tea more when it actually gets more natural rain than from our aquifer. I think it adds a little bit of a different flavor when the rain comes. So all of these things are going to affect the flavor subtly. Most people wouldn't notice, but I definitely notice when I'm going through the batches. When it's been really hot or when it's been really rainy, it affects the flavors. The biggest problem that we face in production in Louisiana is drainage. Tea needs 52 inches of rain a year, which we get in Louisiana, but we might get it all in one season. So what's really important is that we don't have standing water. If there's standing water, the tea plants actually respirate through their roots as well as their leaves, which is fairly unique for a plant, and they'll drown and they'll die, even if they're a fully established plant. So one thing that's incredibly important for growing tea here in Louisiana is that it has good drainage.
If you are looking to enjoy the local scenery and taste what Amite, Louisiana has to offer, then visit our friends at Floyd Lee Tea Company or check out their website to book a tour or to purchase some of their tasty tea online at floydleeteaco.com. For Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Christian Stahlberg. Every year, the English department at Southeastern Louisiana University hosts Common Read, a one-of-a-kind opportunity for Southeastern students and even local high school students to meet and interact with nationally renowned authors. In March of 2025, students had the unique privilege of meeting Reginald Dwayne Betts, renowned poet and advocate for prison reform. Shortly before his visit, Southeastern Perspectives had the chance to talk a bit with Reginald about both his art and work humanizing the incarcerated.
At Southeastern Louisiana University, students have opportunities across the board to meet with professionals from their respective fields. For English majors, they get to encounter and personally meet writers and poets, with some of them being heroes to the students. Dwayne Betts is an American writer and poet who was incarcerated at just age 16. The one thing he wanted most was not freedom, but a book.
Yeah, I think I have come to refer myself as a poet and the founder and CEO of Freedom Reads, an organization that builds freedom libraries and opens them up on prison cell blocks. And I think by that, I mean that, you know, we understand what it means to be a poet, but sometimes poetry is absent in our worlds. And so for me, what I mean by being a poet is somebody who tries to make poetry exist in the fullest extent in the lives of everybody that's around me. And so that means reading poems that I've written, but also reading poems that other people have written. And Freedom Reads is this notion, really, that freedom begins with a book, and bridging that out until it becomes an organization. And as an organization, we build these beautiful handcrafted freedom libraries of maple, oak, cherry, and we put a curated 500 book collection on it. And we put it so that when people wake up in a prison cell, they could be exposed to really the best books that have ever been written.
Dwayne Betts has become a popular figure advocating for prison reform by writing about his experiences and influencing young educated students towards advocating for positive change. Southeastern Louisiana University's English department invites multiple poets and writers to enable students to get an in-depth look at the writing philosophies of their heroes.
For the common read, we always invite an author of some sort. So it could be a fiction writer or a poet or a nonfiction writer. We've had writers from all ilks and who've gone on to become extremely well-known and acclaimed and celebrated. The main thing is that we choose a work that seems that it will give the students something to talk about and something accessible. We want to bring people to campus that the students will be excited to meet and to talk to. I can remember when I was a student here at Southeastern decades and decades ago, before I ever dreamed that I myself would be a writer, I went to a fanfare event that was with an author. And I guess until that moment, it didn't ever really click with me that authors were living beings walking around the earth, contributing to the work, the body of American literature, which is kind of a constantly changing thing, and that was profound for me. And so I'm really honored to be able to have the ability to be the one who's making that happen for students now, because it's something that meant so much to me when I was a student here at Southeastern.
The English department at Southeastern aims to bring more inspiring writers for their students in the next few years to come.
One thing I love about Common Read is on the day of the author visit, seeing students line up to get their books signed by authors. No matter how long they have to wait, they want to get someone to sign their book, because I feel like when I'm watching that signing line and they're getting so excited to get a signature and then maybe take a selfie with the author and posting it on their social media, I feel like they're really witnessing a writer as a living person instead of somebody that's just in black and white on the pages of a book. I think that's great. And I also love how they might hear the author talk about other works that they love. You know, when your teacher recommends something, that's one thing. But if a cool visitor from somewhere else comes to campus and tells you to read a certain author, it carries a certain weight, and I love that as well.
English department at Southeastern aims to bring more inspiring writers for their students in the next few years to come. Reporting for Southeastern Perspective, I'm Stephen Dotolo.
That's all for this episode of Southeastern Perspectives. Join us next time for another in-depth look at issues, events, and destinations important to Southeastern and beyond. I'm Alexis Schubert.
And I'm Christian Stahlberg. Thanks for watching.